Well, I want to give you another twist on something that other people will not. And silver probably will spring up a lot faster than you expect, unexpectedly, at one point in time. And, some people are predicting, by the end of the decade, it's going to probably be 100 or whatever. Some people predicting it's never going to go to, higher up. But that is an impossibility because look at the operating cost of mines. And actually, a major portion, not that I'm an expert on the mining industry, but I did see a lot of major pro formas on people that know a lot about the mining industry and have been in it for decades in a group of people. And very detailed information, not the type of stuff you would get on Yahoo Financials, but like really digging into the information. A large part of the mining cost is from diesel fuel. Big time, big time. So if you think the price of diesel fuel is going to go way to hell down, maybe that could bring the metals down, but otherwise it's not. I could see the price going up. And but it's going to actually hit unexpectedly at one point in time. What is a bad sign right now for silver is the fact that we got so many rumors out there about a COMEX default and all that type of stuff. I don't think any of those things are going to happen right away. But but I'm going to say why it's going to go up unexpectedly. And I've been predicting this stuff with the war stuff for I don't know when it's going to happen exactly. But the Boston Marathon is why I think silver's going to go up. And I'll make this connection because I don't want to, actually it's not cause and effect due to that. But it looks like it. I'm not going to even say, to me, in my mind, at first I suspected that the Boston Marathon bombing was a false flag, right? But now I say it definitely is because, I'll just say a couple real quick things right now, but it has to do with nothing to do with this, the conspiracy of it. It has to do with silver, but I'll just go and explain briefly why I do think it's a false flag. They showed a picture of the guy had a backpack on. It had a white little rectangle. It was designed right into the backpack. And into the backpack, a little white rectangle, and it wasn't one of the guys they caught. One of them, one was killed and the other was caught. It was somebody else. He looked like, I don't know what he looked like. He looked like, an American big dude, But he had a white rectangle on the top of his backpack. Before the explosion, he was wearing it. When he's running away from the explosion, same guy is not wearing the backpack. And you can see the bag that had the bomb in it. It was all torn up, but you could still see the piece of the bag that was still intact with the white rectangle on it. I said, wow, that's pretty good. And there's a couple other things, but to me that was a good one because how many bags, backpacks, you have a black backpack, but not too many have this white rectangle design on the top. And that is exactly what the bag was that blew up. The guy was wearing it. Before they showed a picture of him wearing it, before the explosion, and he's running away, he doesn't have his backpack on. And the bag that blew up had that white rectangle. So I was like, that's a good one. There's other ones, but the reason I'm going to state silver is going to go up now from that is this is a false flag, it looks like, but, if it was a haphazard event, I wouldn't think there's going to be a war, but when you have a false flag, that means you want to make the public think something. Remember the Maine when they had the war, back 100 years ago, over 100 years ago. Remember the Maine? It was actually a coal fire, but they said it was sabotage. The Maine I think it was parked in a Cuban port or something, and they went to the Spanish-American War. They blew up the Maine. They did it. So, and then they had the Spanish-American War, right? Well, that's why you have false flags, you just got to find a reason to go to war if there's an interest in doing it. So this was against a Chechen rebel or something, or Muslim or something. So I think it has to do with, possibly either Putin going after something in Chechnya or whatever. I'm not sure. But if it leads to more conflict and tensions in the Middle East, that always brings up oil and gold. All the time. All the time. It's almost like an axiom. It's not like a, a guess. If there's a lot of tensions in the world, actually, if there was like a major conflicts, the one product that really goes up the most is oil, and gold is pretty much linked to that. And then silver takes off like crazy. So, we'll actually see it in the futures markets where silver's going to go up a lot. But considering that, I don't like saying this, that I think it was a false flag, but I think it was, okay? I really do think it was. But, I'm looking at it from this standpoint. It was a false flag, which I don't think it's an assumption. I think that's really what it was. That means they did it for a reason, to make the public think this or that, and we got a new enemy. So, to me, that means conflict, and since it's been associated with Muslim extremists, and I don't think these guys were, I know there's plenty of Muslim extremists out there. I'm not saying that. I don't think all these Muslims are all peaceful, but a lot of them are. And I don't think these guys were extremists. I think this was a false flag. But what I'm saying is, my real point on this is that if it's a false flag, they did it for a reason, because we now have an enemy. And if we have an enemy, who's that enemy? It's somebody in the Middle East. It's somebody, and it's almost like, draw the conclusion. Last time we had major false flag like this was 9/11. We went to war with Iraq, right? So that's, to me, means, ergo, you're going to see oil and silver and commodities go up. And, the other thing is, I think that they really want to go to war with Iran, though, is also to cut off China from oil. Because I think the Western interests really want to chop off China at the knees because they're getting too big. And the way to do it is to deprive them of, the oil, squeeze them with the oil. Because actually, if the oil prices go up, especially on a global market, maybe they won't even go up as much domestically in the United States. This could be the way the Western elite are playing it. If the oil goes up a lot, that'll put a big squeeze on the Chinese economy, because basically all industry is related to energy. Actually, if you look at why the population was able to grow and had an industrial revolution, it's because of cheap energy. So that's probably one way they're trying to squeeze China. And, domestic oil production in the United States, since there's going to be a lot more of it in natural gas, the energy costs may not go up as much. That's probably how the Western elite are playing this game, too. And they're looking to chop all the Middle East countries that are in oil out of the equation. So that's why I think, I don't want to laugh about this, but it's almost like, I'm totally convinced it was a false flag now. Just looking at a couple little simple tidbits out there, but it's simple, but it's like glaring you right in the face that at least the guys that they picked up, and let me put it this way, if it wasn't a false flag, the guys that they shot up, and they were trying to go after, weren't the perpetrators. It was other people. I'll at least say that for sure. And that goes to show you, man, these cops out there in Boston, these big cities, they just shoot up, they shot up that one guy so much, it's like you can't even ask him questions now, because, it's like, it could have maybe been proved that he wasn't the guy that did it, because it looks like that these guys weren't the guys that did it. It's not really a conspiracy, it's a fact. I'm sorry. But if it turns out that this was a deliberately contrived false flag, you got to figure, what's it for? It's for, we got an enemy now. We got an enemy with somebody in the Middle East. And to me, that means war is imminent for someplace, just like they went after Saddam Hussein after 9/11. And, anybody with a half a brain knows that Saddam Hussein didn't have anything to do with 9/11. I'm not saying that guy was a good guy, but you know what I'm saying. He wasn't a guy. It was Osama bin Laden, and he wasn't in Iraq. So who the hell knows what they're going to do with this? They're going to say maybe it was a Chechenian rebel, and now we're going to go after Iran because the Chechenian Muslim radical did something? I don't know. But it kind of looks this way. So let me put it this way. The point of this whole thing really is to tell you that That's why you might see the metals rise unexpectedly, very fast. And it's not just going to be the metals that would rise, because under a scenario like that, you might see all the commodities rise. That's one reason I was saying to buy food ahead of time, because if the price is high enough, it's going to be available. Food won't run out. We don't really have like wage and price controls in the United States or anything like that. It's not really like that. It almost is like that with this damn futures market manipulation that goes on, but it seems to spring back harder when it does. So, but if there is something like that where they use this as a reason to go after more Muslim radicals and stuff like that, well, I'd assume that it's going to oil will go up, gold will go up, silver will go up, food will go up, copper will go up, all the commodities, and that's usually what happens during global tensions and conflicts. So, if this was just a bombing by a couple people, very, isolated, but considering I think it was a false flag now, and if it wasn't a false flag, let me put it this way, they got the wrong guys. The guys that did it are, you don't really need to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. You look at a picture of a guy with a backpack, and he's wearing it before the explosion, and he's running away, and he doesn't have the backpack on. That's suspicion, somewhat. Then, if you see the backpack has a unique design on it, it has a little white rectangle about, I guess it's about 3 inches by 3 inches, or 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches. And there's not many backpacks like that with that little design on it. And the one that blew up, the backpack that blew up, has that exact design on it. And the guy wasn't wearing it when he was running away. He wasn't one of the ones that was caught. That ain't a conspiracy. Those are facts. And if you want to say that was all coincidence, I don't know about that. Anyway, so let's assume false flag probably, since the best investigators in the world can't figure out what I could see as 101 simplicity. So if it's false flag, that must mean we're going to go to a war with somebody. We got a new enemy. And if you go to war with somebody, oil goes up, especially if it's in the Middle East, oil goes up, gold goes up, silver goes up, food goes up, copper goes up, food goes up, food goes up, food goes up. Remember about food, man, because even if the world doesn't end and you still got plenty of food on the shelves, it's probably going to go up in money. It costs more, so buy it now.